The man just wanted to go on a vacation. He discovered that his flight number was actually 1015. 1015 was the same as his birth date. Even more bizarre, the flight was delayed to exactly 1015 due to weather. This seemed way too coincidental. Jack suddenly felt uneasy, but after looking around, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. As he nervously sat down in his seat, he suddenly noticed there was an old-fashioned radio in the seat pocket ahead. It was predicting a plane crash, and the prophecy was about flight number 1015. It said after takeoff, rain would pour outside, and within an hour, it would lose contact with the ground completely. Jack initially thought it was a joke, so he didn't let it bother him. However, soon after taking off, it really did start to pour outside the window. At that moment, the story on the radio continued. It said Jack had no way to turn back, and mentioned that the plane would soon hit birds. Jack was immediately skeptical, because they were thousands of feet in the air. Where would birds come from? In the next second, Jack was utterly shocked. Could this prophecy be real? Thinking about the crash forecasted to happen in an hour, he hurried to the restroom. He kept reassuring himself it was all just coincidence. Though after leaving the restroom, the plane returned to normalcy, but Jack was still a bit shaken. He urgently pressed the call button and called the flight attendant over. He asked if the plane had just hit some birds. The flight attendant was very puzzled. He suggested Jack might have been hallucinating and advised him to rest if he was tired. As soon as the flight attendant left his seat, a voice came from behind. The man in the back was named Mike. He claimed he was once a pilot. Mike warned him that he shouldn't ask the flight crew like that, because any plane crash wouldn't be openly disclosed. Jack was left puzzled after hearing this. If the jolt was indeed caused by birds hitting the plane, that meant the prediction on the radio was true. To avoid the crash happening in 1 hour, Jack put on headphones to keep listening. The radio then said the flight would completely disappear at 11:15, and, before vanishing, the captain would broadcast his goodbye to the passengers. At that moment, Jack was left clueless what to do, when a sudden message came over the speaker. The plane was soon entering a storm. Jack broke out in cold sweat instantly. It seemed like these radio predictions were coming true. Realizing sitting idly would be disastrous, Jack decided to take action. He urgently searched for clues in the cabin, trying to prevent the upcoming crash. He noticed a pair of twins were engrossed on their phones. He hurriedly told them to shut off the devices, to avoid disruptions to the flight. However, the twins ignored him completely. A heated argument ensued in the cabin, which immediately brought over a flight attendant to intervene. So, Jack had no choice but to return to his seat. The radio broadcast again, saying there was a dangerous individual on board, now being observed by a hidden agent. Soon, Jack set his sights on two men with beards. They seemed very suspicious to him. To prevent a tragedy, he hastily told the flight attendant about it, hoping she could apprehend the suspicious persons. But the flight attendant didn't have the authority to detain anyone without cause. Jack left in disappointment. He suddenly saw that Mike was watching him, so Jack assumed Mike might be the hidden agent. But Mike denied it adamantly, saying he was only a pilot. Jack was frantic with lost leads. He decided to secretly search the suspicious pair's bags to see if there was anything dangerous inside. Suddenly, while attempting to go through the bags, he accidentally hit the